Hello everyone, this is Brendan here with another episode of Let the Good Dice Roll, and amazingly enough, this is going to be episode 10.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Huh.
Yeah, this should have been the wine drinking one.
Oh well.
So with me, as always, as you already heard, is Christina.
Hi, guys.
And we're going to be changing things up a little bit, because she's a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to be reading the notes and she can snipe in with funny, witty comments.
I'm going to try. We're going to see how this goes.
Alright, so this next session that we're going to be covering is on Sunday, the 25th of June. Day after my birthday.
2017. You have to remember the year.
Oh, yeah,
the year is important because this spans over years.
Day after my birthday. Everybody is back in... everybody's still in town after calibration. And they're kind of trying to decide what to do. Basically, one of the things that got mentioned before is a flashing green light that started going...
the Green Light District.
Yes, the Green Light District. One of Talisman's allies, Carl the Crafter...
Yep.
I don't even know what I was thinking there. Created some kind of abomination for materials, and you all killed the abomination. Do you remember this?
Kind of, vaguely. It was... I don't remember what the abomination was, but I remember us being very disappointed in Carl the Crafter.
Was it some kind of, flesh golem with magical materials infused into it? Because that sounds like something I would do.
Like I said, I don't remember specifics on it, so...
Some kind of magical golem for magical materials sounds like something I would do.
Then let's go with that.
Digby, Sergei, Surefire, the Baroness, Asayu, and all the Solars, besides Behemoth, who's not there this session.
Yeah, Devin unfortunately couldn't make it to that session, so there's no Behemoth in this one.
Go in Wayward's flying boat up to the Green Light, where there is a spherical facility made of shining iron, steel, and bronze, with no obvious doorways, and they suspect that it might be a trap.
Yeah, they suspect gremlins are loose in there and that it might be a trap. So
oh yeah, because Asayu was there with you, so he probably mentioned gremlin syndrome.
Yeah, he explained gremlin syndrome, which you might want to explain to them, because I don't think they know what it is, our listeners.
It's a mimetic plague. We'll touch on it more when it becomes more relevant.
I know, quite some time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does not become relevant right now. I think that, they mention it it gets mentioned a lot in this session and then never gets brought up again for a year.
Until we go to a place for a thing.
Finally, they see a door and there's no lock. They discuss going in. The Baroness knocks, then you knock with lock opening technique.
Because Storm having a lock opening technique is awesome. I love it. Because
you can just... Is it immortal? Is it magically locked? No? Cool. It fucking opens.
And if it is magically locked, I have to roll for it, but it's usually pretty easy.
But you're fucking exalted, so it magically opens. And 4 to 5 doors open. Because you guys think it's a trap, Tally summons a Neoma. Really gotta start... if we run exalted again, I really gotta... crack down on the summoning rules, because they're very specific and people just like to be like, I summon this. It's that's not how it works.
Oh no, it gets really weird later on. Remember when we summoned 90 Neoma for something that I'm not going to go into because it's spoilers?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, so Tally summons the Neoma and sends it to check out the control room. They hear fire wands go off and Tally feels the Neoma die. So you guys decide to go that way, towards the gunfire.
Yeah, we're great. That's awesome.
And they find what is effectively a warden's living quarters.
Yeah, after about 30. So the gunfire went off about 30 minutes after we sent the Neoma down there. Okay. So it was about 30 minutes worth of travel was safe, supposedly. Yep.
So you guys see camera views of prison cells, many of them empty, some have bones. 2 of them are occupied with machine spirits. Machine spirits are basically machine gods. Let's see. Tally works with the animated intelligence of the place and finds that the warden is trying to leave. You guys catch up with her and give her food and set up a meal plan. Did you set up so that she would get food up there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you find out that she's the adamant cast from Dayman's
yeah. We also found out
assembly.
She had like a super high, I think, clarity or something like that.
Yeah, I think she had like a insanely high clarity.
Remember, clarity is the one where it's you're very embracing the exaltation. You're very like
you're becoming a robot. Yeah.
Yeah, she had clarity 10, if I remember correctly. You told us that.
Let's see, and then you guys decide to go to the 100 Kingdoms, Wiltshire, and then the North, and you have written in here in parentheses, daddy issues.
Yes, because the North is where Talisman's father's at, because we found that out, so daddy issues. She really didn't want to go to the fucking North.
So, for the 100 Kingdoms, you guys are going to do Mount Metagalopa next session. Oh boy. Oh boy, if it had only been one session.
It's definitely not one session.
And then there was a note in here to when you go to G-Bay to bring an army.
Yeah. I also have Duflord Gets Dangerous, but I don't remember what that was from. I just remember that was a thing that happened. Duflord Gets Dangerous.
Oh. Wow.
And Storm also talked to Star and Ghost during calibration, but that was like side conversation, so I didn't write them down.
Okay. So then.
I think it was pretty much Storm just back alley dealing with information and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. You were probably trying to get information on what would be more important to do next. That might have been where he like thanked you guys for not drowning Volovat.
I mean,
and that's when he accidentally played his hand that Volovat's under his portfolio.
And Storm ended up using that so many times against him.
All right, so for that session was super fucking quick.
Yeah.
So for the next session, it's Sunday, July the 9th of 2017.
Hey, you remember the year this time. Congrats. Have fun with this one.
I remember this one. The Baroness comes to wake up, to wake people up. Diego comes to wake Storm up and tells you that there's a man with a corpse with a diclave through him. The diclave is soul steel star metal and is from a royal war strider.
Yep.
It also has in here that you are not a morning person.
Yeah, Storm is not a morning person. Surprise! The Nightcast is not a morning person.
Let's see. And for size reference, a Royal War Strider's diclave is like the size of a fucking Gundam sword. Like, it's ridiculous. It pierces through a multiple feet thick wall.
Yep.
So Percy arrives first and sees the body of an ashen man. Sees the body and an ashen man with an elemental accompanying him.
You got this.
The guy has
human strangle marks around his neck.
Human strangle, okay.
And he looks like Superfly Johnson.
Yes, he looks like Superfly Johnson.
Weird. Why would he look like Superfly Johnson?
Guy is here. He's here to deliver a message and willing to wait for all of us to get there. The guy, let's see. So when they all get there, he says that the guy remembers Seeker, who was.
Do you want me to just read?
Yeah, I really cannot get through. Your notes are fine when it's like condensed and everything, but like I can't. I'm like going all around the page.
You're perfectly fine, dear. So we speak to the guy, and we learn that his name is Plague of Trust. And he says that he doesn't have a circle, and he remembers Seeker, who is not currently with us. He's in Yushan. And he also remembers that he hates him very clearly. So not only does he remember Seeker, which hardly anybody does, but he remembers that he hates him. Interesting. We also find out from him that the First and Forsaken Lion has taken Jim. Mm-hmm. And Plague is talking about going to heaven to basically get his revenge on Seeker, since that's where he's at, is in Yushan.
Yeah, he somehow knows that that's where Seeker is.
Weird. I wonder why he would know about that.
I wonder why.
That's so weird. It's not. It's really not weird.
It's almost like certain other NPCs that don't really get noticed or have anything said about them or feeding him information because there's a lot of spies in your midst.
Oh no. Spies. Spying on spies. Spy versus spy.
A lot of that was happening and like It's not that you guys didn't know it was happening, but it was that you guys had way bigger problems to deal with than playing spy games.
It's true. Even the spy had bigger games to play than spy games, weirdly enough. So, but anyways, so we find out that the guy that's in the wall, that's basically nailed into the wall with a sword, is named the Fateless Ivory Swordsman, and he was the guy that was going around killing exiles. And the reason that name might sound familiar to listeners, if you listen to the previous stuff, is because we had met him before, but none of us remembered him. So I think we remembered that we had forgotten him until we saw him this time around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we go and kind of examine him to figure out what's going on. There's multiple puncture, like weapon puncture marks, and like it's a small, precise blade, and it's I believe it was up his spine. Oh no, I'm sorry, his spine was actually ripped out. Mm-hmm. And then there was lots of webbing and spider bites inside of him.
Yep.
Which makes sense for a sidereal if you know anything about sidereals.
Well, he wasn't a sidereal, he was a Getimian.
I thought... Oh, that's right. No, he was a Getimian.
He was a Getimian.
We eventually find out who killed him, and yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, because Getimians are reverse sidereals, and the way that I read that is, they stole a bunch of pattern spiders and
put them inside
themselves. Put them inside themselves to give themselves sidereal powers.
Yep, I forgot about that.
So I just realized that we're not mentioning my favorite thing about this new this old NPC that got a new lease on life.
Are you talking about his voice?
Yes, I am talking about his voice.
Okay, go ahead. Let me finish this real quick, and then go ahead and do that voice. I'm just going to go over the rest of the information about the Fateless Ivory Swordsman. The corpse that's there is about a day or two old, and the spider bites that are on him range from days to years old. Wayward uses his wizard eyes, which is not the name of that charm, but that's what we're calling his wizard eyes. We already had this argument. Uses wizard eyes to see the vaguely arachnid, like, mechanical spirits that are leaving his body. With investigation, he's able to figure out that they are indeed pattern spiders. And Storm can kind of infer that he has similar powers to Star, which makes sense, and that they are aligned to 5 magical materials that has something to do with the maidens. If I remember correctly, this was our first time meeting a Gementian.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? I always say it wrong.
Getimian.
I always say it wrong. Always. And Asayu says that they are Autochthonian spirits, like these mechanical spiders.
Yep.
And that they basically help calcify the wild, and that they're architects of creation. And basically that all this seems to be trying to head to the northwest. So right. Storm tries to pick one up and lets it walk on her hand, but she doesn't feel anything while it's doing that. So they're, I guess in essence, like, not weightless, but...
They are weightless. They're...
ethereal, I guess is a good way to put it, maybe?
They're such small... They're such... I think that the term in Exalted is least gods. They're so powerless without being part of a swarm that they almost do not register.
Okay, that makes sense.
But when there's a huge swarm of them, they become, like, really terrifying.
Okay, now if you want to explain... Plague of Trust's lovely voice.
So, Plague of Trust, as we explained already, used to be Superfly Johnson. Until Devin's character Seeker decided to use, I think, one of his shadow things to try and to kill him.
Oh, he didn't try.
He did kill him. He made the guy hang himself. And then in doing so, this guy got given the Abyssal Exaltation, which turned him from Superfly Johnson into Plague of Trust. So Plague of Trust enters the scene with the necrotized green maw that John had left with him.
Yep.
And I've got this spooky, weird, gothic, industrial music playing through my speakers, and I've got like this super serious scene as this corpse lord descends, and then he looks to everyone and goes... Well, hello there. My name is Plague of Trust. How are you all doing today? I just found this corpse here. I just wanted to give you all a little message, and now you all are blaming me for killing this guy? I didn't do any of that.
No, you didn't.
So this guy comes down, and then he has just me trying to do my best Kermit the Frog impression.
I think it was better during the campaign because you're used to doing it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't do the, hello there, I am Kermit the Frog. Like, I literally have to do that like 5 times to get the voice going. And then if I have to describe anything, I have to like, hello there, I'm Kermit the... Like, I just have to keep doing it over and over again until I can get it.
Yeah. It's a great voice because there's a great juxtaposition between, like, that voice.
That voice and then Spooky Boy.
Yeah, pretty much. So back to this. Storm basically explains all the stuff about Seeker, Fateless, Plague, and the Solar Circle down in the south because, she knows about it now. And all the other information that she gained from Seeker imparting it to her. Diego and Asayu affirmed that Storm is telling the truth because, I guess nobody wanted to believe her for some stupid reason.
Well, you have that imaginary... They're not going to believe you and this guy who believes that Seeker is a real person because nobody else believes that Seeker is a real person.
Yeah. We end up burying the Fateless Ivory Swordsman and go to the graveyard to speak with him later that night because we can speak to spirits, so it was super convenient for us. 30 miles outside of Lookshy was the last place that Fateless, or Ivory Swordsman, whatever you want to call him for short, remembers being. And he does remember getting kicked out of heaven and fighting back against Yushan to let everyone have free will, because that's what he believed in. They ended up taking the spiders from him that were put into his spine. So he wants to stay around and do stuff, and, well, we're dicks and kind of threaten to send him off if he doesn't talk. And,
sounds like you guys.
Yeah, we are dicks. It's totally true. We're assholes. So the Ivory Swordsman talks about how he'd been killing Exalted to take their powers, and that he needed their powers to help him in the war with Yushan. He ends up giving us some info, but it's not really super helpful to us. And, like I said, we're assholes. We end up sending his spirit off anyways.
Yep.
Because...
You guys could have totally had a guy who actually knew what the fuck to do when you all eventually go up to heaven.
I mean, some of us figured it out. The others of us didn't.
The problem is that it's the ones who didn't that went up to heaven.
Yeah. Even with explicit instructions on what to do.
A better thing to have given them would have been explicit instructions in what not to do.
That's too long. That's too long of a list.
You could have just said, don't yell at people, and it would have stopped all of their plans.
I mean, I didn't... Never mind. I told them exactly what to do. I wrote it down and gave it to them.
I can't wait.
I really wanted to go up to Yushan, and I couldn't because I had to go and fight, man. Being a combat monkey is not always great sometimes.
I can't wait to get to that.
The group decides to go to Mount Metagalopa, and we end up taking Wayward's boat there. We have Asayu, Sergei, Diego, and some of Percy's army with us. We leave Tally and Surefire to watch over Sunshade while we're gone. And we get up to Mount Metagalopa. It's a floating mountain that has hawkmen and rock riders basically harassing our allies from there because they're awful like that.
Mm-hmm.
As we get closer, there's ice storms and lightning that start up, and as we get within a few miles of there, we start hearing flying agata, which are these wasps from Malpheus, and they're awful. And then this odd whooping sound. And just because I really want to do it, and I know if certain people listen to this, they're going to hate me for it, but actually I don't think I should probably do it.
You probably should not do that with your...
There's a whoop sound from Avalon that really messes with some people that I know, and I would have loved to do it, but I'm not trying to kill my voice. But yes, odd whooping. We get close enough to them and end up having to engage them in battle. So we have the Baroness, who ends up destroying a whole battle group just by herself, because she's the Raptokinator.
Didn't she end up opening up one of her...
Yep.
She ended up showing off her chest cavity laser beam.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why she's the Reptoculator.
Yep.
So after the first round of combat, the air aspect comes down and surrenders. Mm-hmm. She says a prayer, and the storm and the lightning all stop.
And then you guys can finally see Mount Metagalopa. Mm-hmm. So, since you all can finally see Mount Metagalopa...
the addendum to that is she's known as the Lady of Rocks. Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
So, Mount Metagalopa is, like that Christina mentioned, is a floating mountain in the middle of the Riverlands that no one knows why it's floating. The group totally figures it out eventually. But the whole background of it is that one day this mountain just started floating, and there happened to be a bunch of like an entire colony of like dragon-blooded and like realm people shogunate people on there. And it floated like a fucking mile up, so now they can't get back down, so now they had to make an entire floating mountain dwelling society on there. And it kind of, anytime you do an adventure there, it always tends to have, especially if the group is the first couple of people to really venture in there, it kind of has like an isolationist like nation greeting new people for the first time. It's usually got a unique feel to it. I think I decided not to do that with this outside of the initial combat, which was get out of my territory.
Yeah, and then we just kind of destroyed them on the first round. So.
But yeah, no, that's the basis of Mount Metagalopa.
Mm-hmm. We find out that the ruler, in quotation marks, of the place is a queen named the Lady of Vows. We also find out that Onibala is the goddess of the area. Mm-hmm. Just as some stuff that the Lady of Rocks ends up telling us before we go in there as a precursor.
Kind of giving you guys so here's the deal. Here's our queen. Here's the goddess of the area. Here's... I think there's some other info.
Not yet.
No? Okay.
Park the boat on the lake, because why not?
Because there's a lake.
And we get escorted to Shipao to meet the queen. And I can't read this name. Bellum,
yeah.
Yeah. So Bellum wrecked a city in 100 Kingdoms. And the Hawkmen do not like the queen. And she does not like the Hawkmen. So it all works out.
Man, so remind me about Bellum in by the end of the episode.
I'm not going to remember.
Okay, well then I'll remind myself about it by the end of the episode.
Good luck.
Because that's a plot point that never comes up again. Oh, well. But I do want you to know what was supposed to happen.
You might just want to say it now, because I think we'll both forget.
Not yet.
All right, we'll see.
I have to wait for a character to get introduced before it becomes...
All right, we'll see what happens then. So Storm ends up heading to the west to find out info about why they don't like the 100 Kingdoms here, and how they need to expand per the Queen, and just what's up with them, the tension there with the 100 Kingdoms. There's a lot more people being born, and there's a lot more people being born with essence and the ability to use it.
There's a lot more dragon-blooded being born.
Mm-hmm. She finds out that the queen came about 10 years ago and forbade them to trade with Lookshy for reasons that we'll find out later.
Which is incredibly weird considering that Mount Metagalopa is descendant from Lookshy.
Mm-hmm. That's also really weird to think about in retrospect. She finds out that the big boss bird is called Rage of Birdman. Mm-hmm. And that's basically the Hawkman's god. And that the queen also has an accent very similar to Storm. Weird.
Well, she's got a Lookshy accent.
Yeah, which also makes it really funny because she doesn't want to trade with Lookshy. Mm-hmm. Percy ends up heading to the east. It's a quote-unquote better part of town. He gets picked up by the Hawkman, who says that invaders have to be taken to the bird god. So he gets to go and meet Rage of Birdman.
Yep. Rachel Birdman is a fucking weird thing for me to roleplay because he's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Well, so while this Birdman is carrying Percival away, Percival asks him twice to let him go. And when the dude still refuses to do so, he ends up stabbing him in the dick. I can't make this up. It's in the notes.
Stab him in his bird dick. God damn it, Craig. Okay.
Yep. So Percival ends up falling and parrying the ground like he do.
I think this is the first time that he's ever parried the ground.
That might be the first time he's parried the ground. I'm so used to it after years of him parrying the ground and me dodging the ground.
Okay, so in Exalted, you can have perfect defenses that allow you to parry or dodge, like, basically an incoming object, including the ground. You can basically get out of, certain death situations with a parry counter thrust. And this gets used eventually in Lookshy in possibly one of the greatest uses of Exalted's broken mechanics ever.
Well, there was also that one where literally way later where he and I are falling, he parries the ground and I dodge the ground. But as he falls, he ends up finding this woman. She has a creamy skin, platinum blonde hair, and her clothing is just all done up in light blues, and she has sort of this rainbow above her. Come to find out, she's Onibala, the mountain princess. And she recognizes Percival's weapons and says an old solar lover of hers gave her similar magic ones a long time ago. And she says that she will give them to him if he helps the Queen of Owls, which we still don't know too much about right now. Behemoth, who is here for this session, goes looking for wild pockets, like he likes to do. He wanders, and townspeople and children, he starts talking to them, and word spreads pretty quickly about our solar group taking on, their people, the battle that we did before we came into town. He ends up finding magical material that's being used in the buildings. It's, actually a couple different magical materials that are used in the buildings, like jade or chalcum, which is not... not normally readily available stuff, but it's very common here.
Jade's fairly common.
Or chalcum not, though.
Or chalcum is not common at all. It's I think that
and they're using this in their buildings, as a building material. Or chalcum is the equivalent of... What's a good equivalency? Just randomly finding gold? No, because gold's really readily available.
Gold is not readily... Well, I mean, it is, but
depends where you go. It's, easy to find for jewelry and shit, but...
Right. Right, but, you wouldn't use gold to build a house.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's also a very, surprisingly flimsy material.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So it's not good for stuff like that. But
basically,
you're using this really rare material to build your fucking houses. Who does that? Because it's a super rare material for everywhere else.
It's like using gems to build your house out of.
Yeah, something like that. But apparently, all these materials are super common here, so what the fuck? Basically, he talks about wanting to take a tour of the caves, but apparently he has to talk to the queen first before he can do anything.
Yep, they're very big on getting the group to come back together to talk to the queen.
Yeah, Brendan. They all really want us to go talk to the goddamn queen. You'll find out why the slightly salty, but not actually salty about this in a little bit. Anyways, so he gets taken to a place where sorcerers are working, and he's looking for a Yasuo crystal?
Yassel crystal.
Yassel crystal.
Yassel crystals are things that can hold spirits and souls.
Yeah, he's looking for one big enough to hold 30 souls. Mm-hmm. Comes to find...
Oh, right. So,
because of his thing.
Just because of his thing. I was listening to the other episode, and I realized there were a couple of things that I did not actually chime in on that I should have.
Okay.
So the dark-skinned lady that Behemoth bedded.
Yeah.
Mara, second circle demon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally forgot about that until I was listening to it. And I was like, wait, that's fucking Mara. She's the one who gives out that fucking sorceress initiation.
Uh-huh.
The other thing, the giant jade thing that I mentioned eating a behemoth in the Dreaming Sea and everything. It's the fucking Jade Prison.
Yeah, it was in the thing to show for the future stuff.
Right, but you were like, I don't think that we ever come back to this.
Oh, okay.
You technically don't, but it's the Jade Prison.
Yeah.
Which is technically the base of operations.
Yeah. Anyways, did you want anything else in there? Or?
No, it's just the Mara thing. But that's who that he was talking to. Mm-hmm. And that's how he needs to get a Yassel crystal with 30 that can hold up to 30 souls to give to Mara.
Yeah, I think doesn't that like stop his bullshit, his curse?
No, that just starts his quest line to stop his curse.
Oh. I forgot he hasn't gotten on that yet. Alright, well, he ends up finding out that the queen is a master sorceress and has been teaching people throughout the town sorcery. And there's lots of books about demons and summoning them. And Behemoth ends up asking if they have books about Mara. Timing is great.
Oh, there we go.
And they only seem to be able to do, like, first circle terrestrial stuff, so nothing super big at this point. Wayward is off rocking out with the Baroness, Sergei, and Delilah. Apparently, the context is upbeat and happy. Ooh. Why are we allowed to be upbeat and happy? That never happens.
No, I think that this game was actually fairly upbeat and happy until the second half.
Yeah.
This game was fairly like the NPCs were almost never happy, but it was very much a goofy, wacky, I stab him in the dick adventure.
In comparison to the second half. Yes.
In comparison to the second half, where I really tried to like double down on the
mope and emo.
The mope and emo, and it did not work.
Yeah. Well, because you usually do like fun, crazy bullshit. So.
Well, the problem that I find is that like in Mage, like I can have those moments of seriousness with you guys, and like because I sprinkle out. Well, I don't just sprinkle out. Like the moments of levity just fucking happen because you guys are fucking amazing to run with, and like you guys make every game a joy and like fun, but you still get those tense fucking moments, like Rory having to like fucking chuck a knife at a vampire and like cut its head off with aggravated damage because holy shit, I accidentally got near a fucking vampire initiation like thing, and like holy shit. But like, you know, the scene before, you're like laughing about fucking Sons of Ether like bullshit and just like, go get me the explosives, get the dynamite, take the dynamite back. Like, whereas for this game, I front-loaded all the happiness and joy and then decided, and now it's time to smack everyone in the face. And I really should have like actually had more time for you guys to like have downtime and actually like enjoy.
Well, in retrospect, it was very much, we were trying to do the thing, we were trying to like, this was our main focus, and it wasn't a levity situation. It was very much this is very serious, we need to do this is serious stuff.
But you can only keep that tone going for so long without a break that it doesn't work.
It's fine. Like throwing crates off of ships and stuff like that was a little bit of levity.
But yeah, no, you're right with the with like throwing crates off there, or so I find that a lot of our stories that have to do with this game split into two things. And they're really, like, you can tell where that, like, really, like, a lot of it in the first half, while we're still playing Exalted as Exalted, is us having fun with this broken goddamn system. And like, also really fun, like, roleplay moments, but there's also a lot of stories that rely heavily on the system being kind of weird and wonky. And then when we switch over to Godbound, almost all of the stories are roleplay moments. There's not a whole lot of, here's this wonky weird system thing that we did that, like, it comes up.
Well, it's because for, like, combat and stuff like that, it was so like either streamlined or repetitive. Like there wasn't any wacky weird shit.
Yeah, there wasn't any wacky weird shit. There wasn't any like stunting.
There wasn't any like, and this is gonna be a spoiler for like way down the line. There wasn't any like scavenging out in the bathroom, hiding in the rafters, waiting for your target to come in there. And if you don't kill them on the first blow, phasing through the door, and when the door opens, they get shot. Like there's none of that.
Like there's no alpha strikes that cause like the boss monster to just go down. There's no back and forth with a monk in a cave. There's just, I do this. Do I hit? Yep. Okay. He does this in return. Does he hit? Yep. Okay. And just, it's like or I use this defense. I use that defense. And it's not that Godbound's necessarily a bad system, but it just does not make for memorable combat. It makes combat feel like combat. It doesn't make combat feel memorable.
Yeah.
All right. So there was that side tangent.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a long side tangent, but that's okay. So back to Wayward, who's rocking out with Baroness Sergei and Delilah. When they're done, they have some people come up to Wayward and the rest of them because they want to learn how to play. And
oh yeah, because they're descended from Lookshy, and Lookshy is notoriously tone deaf.
But they ask him...
But love music.
Yeah.
Love music. Absolutely adore it. Notoriously tone deaf.
So it's me. It's perfect that I play a Lookshy and then. Because I can't sing or shit. But I love to sing, I just suck at it. They end up asking Wayward if he would be willing to write a song about their queen. So that Queen of Vows comes up again. Weird.
It's almost like it comes up during every fucking character.
Yeah, weird. I don't know why. The group ends up meeting up together and comparing their notes on what happened to each one of them. And they decide to go have an audience with the queen that they keep just mysteriously hearing about for some random reason. So they walk in, and she perks up when she sees our group. And she's got this, like, reflective, like, pale skin. It's got, like, a sheen to it. Braided brown hair, shogunate armor. She's got a dieclave at her side, and her skirt and greaves are all blue. And she's also got a green hourglass cast mark on her forehead. That's for Ceciline, the Endless Desert, who is a Yozi.
Yep.
So this person's an infernal. Also, her name is Lady of Broken Vows. Of Broken Vows. Not Lady of Vows, not Queen of Vows, Lady of Broken Vows. Oh yeah, and she's Storm's mom, who she thought was dead.
Yeah, didn't she, didn't we end the session with her, like, seeing you and, like,
saying her Storm's real people name? Yeah.
Yeah, what was Storm's real people name?
It's Nerissa.
Nerissa? Okay, yeah. And I think that's where I ended the session.
It was just like, oh, Nerissa, it's you, or something like that. And I just, like, frowned. It was like, God damn it, I kept everybody from knowing my real name for so long.
That's the only time it comes up. No one ever calls you by it again.
Nope, not.
Is that the end of that session?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the thing with Balam is, so now that we know that Storm's family is totally a thing that becomes important in this story, so your character...
This is what happens when I give backstories.
This is what happens when anybody gives me backstories.
Well, I mean, how many people gave backstories? Didn't you say that, like, only half the group did, like, actual backstories?
You gave a backstory, and John gave a backstory. And Devin gave a backstory, and Julia specifically said, I don't want a backstory, just give me whatever.
Give me amnesia.
Give me amnesia. Which is kind of a backstory. So the only person who doesn't really get, like, backstory play or, like, major, major, character,
Percival?
is Percival. And he still gets some stuff later on.
Yeah.
But, like, I had to, like, really dig in and start asking him questions about stuff. Not because his backstory... Because he did... Actually, everybody gave me a backstory except for...
Joe.
Maybe?
Of that list, that Joe's the only one in here.
Which is obviously less important anyway. Because it's not like I had a page and a half to 3 pages written up for his entire backstory and subplot throughout the entire thing. So anyway...
No salt at all.
No salt at all. So... No, but, like, Percival did have a backstory. It's just his doesn't come up until you guys literally go to Wiltshire, which is where all of his backstory is.
Well, and I mean, it's funny because, like, Seeker, Storm, Percival, they were all from Wiltshire.
And, like, the other thing is that Percival's backstory is, like, it doesn't have a whole lot of fun elements to play with.
Gotcha.
Whereas, like, Wayward is from, like, this traveling circus family that's, like, partially thieves and partially bards. And, like, you are, like, from Wiltshire, and we're like, here's my family tree, and here's all their personalities, and I don't know where my mom and dad are. And I'm just like, let me ask you something. Do you know who this, like, I can't remember who the fuck it was, but
well, at first you asked me, it's like, are your parents alive or dead? I was like, that's at your discretion.
Right. So, one of them's alive, obviously. The other one is actually dead.
Air quotes around.
Air quotes dead. He's the reason that Balaam got destroyed.
Oh.
Yeah, he's technically,
my family's doing great things, man.
He's technically, Plague of Trust circle mate.
You've told me that before.
Yeah. He's I think he's like the butcher of the 100 Kingdoms.
Interesting.
He literally goes around and just murders towns. He's like got a huge rage boner going on. But yeah, no, but like your entire family is supposed to be from like this prestigious Wiltshire family, and
don't give stuff away. Don't give stuff away.
Oh, and I was gonna say, and like all of your family in some way exalts, except never is dragon-blooded, which is what they're supposed to.
Yeah, because Storm actually has the dragon-blooded lines that she keeps hidden for the most part.
All of them do. All of them do. All of you guys are like perfect candidates for the dragon-blooded thing, and no one exalts that way.
Yeah. Spoiler, guys. Everybody in my family is exalted. My 2 parents and my 4 siblings. But we're not going to tell you which one's exalted to what, except now you know that Storm's mom is a fucking infernal for Ceciline.
Right? Okay.
And, you know, her dad's an abyssal. But
that never comes up!
That literally never comes up. That was just something Brendan told me. He's like, so you want to know what happened to your dad? Since all of them exalted, I was like, sure, what happened to him? Here. So both my parents are technically evil exaltations.
They're technically evil versions of Solars.
Yeah. And then I'm a Solar, and then insert things for my siblings that I'm not going to say later.
A lot of, yeah. It comes up real soon.
It comes up soonish. We've got, Mount Metagalopa was like 4 sessions.
Was it really?
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
How much do you want to bet?
I don't want to bet, because you know that I'm terrible at betting.
Alright, so that was session 1. Session
I thought it was 3 sessions.
2. It might be 3, but I thought it was 4. 3 session, 4 session.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 4 sessions.
Wow!
I have a weird memory for useless shit, don't I?
Holy shit, okay.
So session number 3 of episode 10 on a Sunday in July 23rd, 2017.
Okay.
That's fine. I was making sure I was reading the right one. So Talisman, while we're up on the mountain, is rerouting ley lines to the statues for our defense system back in Sunshine. And so we end up doing something kind of weird. We kind of like almost like hologram message her and find some very like it's mainly her head, and she's trying to hide like the rest of the building. Mm-hmm. And we come to find out that Surefire and her got together.
Oh yeah,
because I have Surefire and Tally with a little heart by it.
Okay, that makes sense.
We basically say, hey, we kind of need you. And she's like, well, I'm all the way in Sunshine. Sorry, guys. Bye. And Surefire does the celestial level teleportation sorcery thing to bring both of them to Wayward's boat.
Yep. Because he's also a sorcerer.
Because he just can do fucking everything. Why not?
It's totally not a self-insert. He actually isn't.
We end up sending the shifters out to scout for us while we go to talk to the Hawkman. Surefire is here as a different colored fox for this whole endeavor. Because when I say shifters, I mean the lunars. Yeah, so Surefire disguises himself as a different colored fox. Sergei becomes an iguana, which is the first time I find out Sergei can become an iguana.
That he can go super small.
Yeah.
And become an adorable iguana.
Yeah. And Digby is a swarm of rats. And the Baroness is a swarm of Komodo dragons. Which is probably my favorite part of that whole thing. What's that face for?
I forgot that this happened.
Yeah, we sent them out to scout for us. So this all happened.
Okay, so the swarm of rats makes sense for scouting purposes. A swarm of Komodo dragons would not make any sense.
I didn't make this choice. You made this choice as the DM.
I know.
And we end up having Diego and the Seiyu with us. We end up going up to the mountain to interact with the Hawkmen. And there's just lots of conversations about plans and what to do with Mount Metagalopa, Lookshy on the 100 Kingdoms, and such.
You guys are basically planning, 10 sessions ahead during this session.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because there's been a lot of information that's been dropped about Mount Metagalopa, its role in the 100 Kingdoms, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yep, and its interactions with Lookshy and whatnot. Wayward and Behemoth end up feeling a lot of essence being drawn in the air and sort of going to the center of the mountain. That's just a side note. It's important, but it's just kind of a side note for now. We end up reaching the top and meet this bird brain hawk woman. And we asked to see the god, which is, Rage of Birdman. And there's just so many goddamn bird jokes that were made. I don't even remember them all. I can just see my writing and see the exasperation in how I wrote it.
This is foul. Don't.
Yeah. It's like, we don't want to be involved in any foul play, but
don't want to be involved in any foul play.
It was just so many bird jokes. It was ridiculous.
Don't duck out on these proceedings.
Stuff like that. Yeah. The group eventually gets taken to a giant nest. It's about the size of a building. And this stories tall birdman with this large beak and wings that could cover, his whole form with... It says, I have large beak wings that cover whole form with giant hands. It's just a weird phrasing that I put for that. I don't know.
Because he's got wings, but then he's also got giant hands. He's a giant-looking motherfucker.
Yeah, and he seems to be growing inches every moment, also. And this is Rage of Birdman. Surprise!
Yes, because the rage of the Birdmen is feeding into him.
Yes. We found out that 10 years ago, when everything was at peace, the Birdman was much smaller. Now, the people in Mount Metagalopa gave people to Birdman to get his rage out on so they would fight. So, this huge form is when his energy hasn't been spent. And when he does fight people, he ends up starting to shrink down. So that's why they would send those people to him. Behemoth decides, alright, I'm going to help with this situation, and decides to fight Rage of Birdman.
I can't recall if this was a good idea on his part or not.
I don't know, but he ends up fighting him to help him shrink back to normal. And basically, he should be back to his normal size in a week. And then we can discuss plans with Rage of Birdman.
Okay.
So I think it was helpful because, in his big size, he wasn't really helpful. Mm-hmm. But, in his small size, he had, more brain capacity. He wasn't such a bird brain.
Okay, right. When he was big, he was full of rage, so he didn't have as much brain power. Mm-hmm. But when he's small, he's not as full of rage. Mm-hmm. Because you all had decided that, we're not going to side with the queen here. Early on, right?
I think our group was just like, fuck this, she's doing some shicey shit. Let's find out what our other options are. And Storm was just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And couldn't do that, so.
Yeah. I remember being like, haha, I'm going to this is going to be great. I'm going to give this character her mother and they're going to have an ally in Mount Metagalopa, and it's going to be this weird, goofy alliance where they're working with an infernal, so now we can have all the Malfian politics come in. And the entire group went, "You're an infernal? Fuck you!"
Storm's whole thing was, "You're my mom. You've been alive for all this time, and you never contacted me. Fuck you!"
Right, but my original intention with making that character your mother, and, like, none of this was ever intended to be like, oh, this is going to go on for 4 or 5 sessions or whatever.
Just for Mount Metagalopa. We haven't gotten to Look-Shy yet.
Just for Mount Metagalopa. None of this was intended to do that. It was literally like, go to Mount Metagalopa and get an ally who's going to help you, and then go to G-Bay. That was my original plan. And instead you guys went, we're going to hang out in Mount Metagalopa.
Well, now that we've got plans to, make plans with Rage of Birdman after he's normal, the group heads back to the boat. They decide to rest, and then our allies come back with information. They find out there are 4 families that we need to get on our side, and we need to get the goddess in the mountain on our side, so that's Onibala, and we need to check out the Sorcerer's Institute. The 4 families are the Watherstrats, which was the military family, the Alabeth, which is the trading one, the Baratsus, which are education, they're more dragon-blooded.
They're all dragon-blooded, technically.
Well, it says more dragon-blooded.
Oh, so basically there tend to be more dragon-blooded in there.
Yeah. And the Valu,
probably.
Which is, like, tied to Onibala, and it has, like, priestly ties to her.
Okay, so they're the religious faction.
Yeah.
This is all stuff that I grabbed out of the Scavenger Lands book. This isn't just me, like, making shit up. There's a reason that, like, there's almost an entire shelf devoted to this entire fucking fiction. And I still don't follow the fiction, like, 100%.
Well, I know we sent Surefire Digby Diego to go and talk to the Baratsu group.
That's the military guys?
Education.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's a good group for that.
Yeah. Alright, so this ends up going over a couple of days. So I'm going to start with part 1 of day 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this literally goes all the way to here.
Oh god, we may have overestimated the amount of time that we can do in this.
Yeah. So part 1 of day 1, Talisman, Wayward, and Behemoth go to the Sorcerer's Academy. Behemoth gets a tour of the facilities from them, and Wayward keeps his wizard's eyes up throughout the whole tour, just to kind of keep an eye out. They get to the restricted section and end up convincing them to let Wayward and Tally back into it for 5 minutes, while the tour person Behemoth end up playing distraction. While Behemoth plays distraction for the tour person. So they see where demons were being summoned, and they notice an essence sinkhole. And they end up scanning a good amount of the books and find an iteration of the Broken Wing Crane.
Side note, the Broken Wing Crane is a canonical exalted book that is written in... basically, no one knows who the true author of the Broken Wing Crane is.
It's a book of pure fucking evil.
It's a book of pure fucking evil, and basically, when it's a book of pure fucking evil that appears throughout time in, like, not... basically, like, as if it's still being written. Like, it's like almost like a book that was sent back in time, and the closer that it comes to when the author will pen the full Broken Wing Crane is the more complete that it is.
Yeah, I have it 99% listed up here.
Yep, that's pretty fucking accurate.
Yeah. But that's the first part. So day 1, part 2. Percy, Storm, and Sergei standing guard, go to the trading outpost to talk to the Alabeth group. Someone there tells Storm that the Queen would like a private audience with her, and because the Queen had just been by that area. And they end up making some small talk about trading. They promote Nexus. And they say that, like, the 100 Kingdoms is unreliable, stuff like that.
I mean, they are.
And the Leonin shaman mask made of redwood? I have no idea what that means.
That sounds like a tribe from the east.
Linoan shaman mask made of redwood. It's just mentioned in here for some reason.
They might have had one for trade.
Yeah. Well, they also said they want to buy a skyship from the Haslanti region from trading. Mm-hmm. They basically want to make a profit, but not at the price of their lives or their culture. And they talk about how the air elementals came in on the north wind and tried to claim the mountain as their birthright, but the queen ended up saving all the people from them. And Percy happens to know that about 10 years ago was about when the Bull of the North exalted, which is weirdly convenient, apparently.
Weirdly convenient.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of convenient things happening.
It's almost like that since the world isn't exactly run off of, off of just happenstance and coincidence. It's almost like the world is run off of a giant celestial bureaucracy that makes things happen.
Fuck you, Shan. Creation will and mandate.
You can't just go up there and start yelling that and make it work.
I know that. I'm well aware of that. Anyways.
I hope I get run exalted and everyone gets to hear something like that get recorded and someone try that again with me and I'm just going to stare at them and go, it doesn't fucking work like that.
You realize if we get to play the Pirates Lunar game, my character would totally do that.
It's going to be super weird having you play exalted and like not be quiet and reserved. I'm kind of terrified for this.
It's not going to be as bad as Rory, but Sesta's a whole character.
Okay.
At least in my headspace, the way I have her, so. Alright, day 1, part 3. Everyone meets up. Talisman shows us the Book of Evil, and we have a discussion of burning and or what to do with it. Talisman, Wayward, and Behemoth tell us about the Book of Pure Evil, and we, 4 versus 1, the 1 being Wayward, agree to fire it. Just set it on fire. Wayward wants to keep it.
Because he's a crazy person.
Yeah. Our allies let us know the Baratsu family are very loyal to the Queen. They were raised up from squalor by the Queen, and they do not want to expand. They don't want to leave Metagalopa, so not likely to get them on our side. Percival and Storm know that the Alabeth are down with helping us on their kind of like their own terms, as long as, you know, excuse me, like they just want to expand and progress and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And basically you also find out that they own and run the mines where all that essence is going. Day 2, part 1, because I don't know if there's another part. There might not be another part, but okay. It's at least day 2 now. So Talisman and Surefire are going to the mines, and all the NPCs are going to the military house. Percy and Wayward decide to go to Onibala, which is a trip and a half on its own. Behemoth goes to find a spirit holding crystals that he's looking for. And Storm goes to have a meeting with Mommy Dearest. Behemoth is able to convince a street crack guy to steal some crystals. And the dude ends up exulting while he does this. And he basically... I have likely into the exigent of thievery before we knew what he actually was.
Yeah, he likely into the exigent of thievery. Yep.
And then, which was just interesting, he's like, yeah, go steal this for me. Oh shit, that dude exalted while he was doing that. Well, fuck.
He was totally expecting him to just get murdered.
I had a ship name for Talisman and Surefire. It was Tallyfire.
Okay.
So I wrote Tallyfire go to the mines. And they have a discussion on finding out about, like, they discuss how people found out about them being a couple and how that went. And then the Alabeth are the ones that are leading them down these mines since they own them and run them. And after some conversation, the Alabeth Torah person lets them have free reign to look around the mines themselves. And they dig a little bit, and they reach this refined material that Talisman can't get through, which is very weird considering she's the crafter and can get through most shit on her own. But she needs a better drill for this particular material. she ends up manipulating and lying to the foreman to get orange talcum material for the drill. Basically saying that the queen requested a project that needed it. And then she ends up walling off the area for a bit so she can work on it. Oh my god, I forgot the team name that we gave for Percival and Wayward.
What was it?
Team Romantic Super Sex Squad. Wayward and Percival go to meet a princess in the cave, Onibala. She's awake, and cue Careless Whisper.
Oh yeah! Yeah, we did totally play Careless Whisper, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I believe that my reaction was, hey Craig, what's your appearance?
Yeah. Percival just fails at flirting with her.
Percival not only fails at flirting,
which was no surprise,
but also has appearance 1.
Yeah.
So like, you're not even getting off on, yeah, you're a dumb meathead, but look at that bod.
Yeah. So Onibala's kind of, she basically calls him out on it for how bad he is at flirting, and says that his last incarnation was way more suave, which I still can't believe, but here we are. And Wayward, who is incredibly drunk at this point, asks Onibala if she knows that the queen is evil. And Onibala says she's afraid of getting audited, but she says that the queen...
Oh yeah!
Yeah, but she said the queen has better dead at this point. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but...
See?
She's afraid of getting audited. It says queen has better dead at this point. I think I wrote that incorrectly. But
maybe.
She basically just wants to know what they have to offer for information. And Percival leans in to give her a kiss, and she just begrudgingly accepts it. And they end up leaving and decide that they need to call Star to talk to him about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Storm goes out to meet with Mommy Dearest. They end up meeting at the park that the queen reserved for them. And
the whole park.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when you're the fucking queen.
Mm-hmm. So she ends up finding out Balam was ransacked by a death knight.
Oh shit, it actually came up again.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I didn't catch the relevance, so... Because it wasn't enough for me to go on at that point.
I think that's literally the last time your father gets mentioned in character.
Probably. Daimyo Neferin is who Storm's whole family is descended of. And
Daimyo Neferin, I think?
That might be how it's pronounced.
If you look it up in the Lookshy book, it's basically the admiral who's in charge of Lookshy.
Oh, well, because it says the goddess of Lookshy, the god of bloodlines.
It's
Oh no, because that's who we can go and ask if we're descended from.
That's who you go to ask. But like, just spoilers. That's totally what your bloodline is from.
Yeah.
Which is why your family's such a big deal that like none of them became dragon blooded.
Yeah. But basically, she's just like, this is who we're descended from. We are of royal bloodline. If you want confirmation, because Storm's not going to fucking believe her. She thinks her mom's going to manipulate her. And she's like, if you want confirmation, go talk to the goddess of Lookshy. Go talk to the god of bloodlines. They are one of like the few things or people that can confirm this for you. And Storm
Again,
also... Oh, go ahead.
This is me trying really hard to be like... This, like, shaking the party as a whole, just going, this is an ally for you! I made you an ally! Please pick up the ally!
Spoiler, we did not pick up the ally.
You did about the exact opposite.
Yeah. And Storm ends up finding out that Ceciline wants her mom to expand Mount Metagalopa and create allies with people. And she wants to work with us, like the Mommy Dearest wants to work with the group as equals and work towards a common goal and not hinder one another. So they basically make small talk, and then Storm heads back to the boat and notices an iguana, which is Sergei following her. So she picks him up and they carry him back. So my favorite part throughout this, because I think we've talked about it before, but I just have this uncanny way of figuring out people's intimacies while talking to them. I don't know why. So Storm, throughout this conversation, pinged on her mom's intimacies and made her take 4 points of limit. And it was starting to manifest and show because infernals work a little bit differently. It's more outwardly obvious.
Infernals are... Yeah, well, you're literally agitating the demonic coagitator that is fused to their body. And you're also... Their limit basically causes them to... Whereas an Abyssal's limit break happening causes them to basically explode in necrotic energy because that's so edgelord. An Infernal's limit causes them to go for... Like, whereas a Solar's limit would be like, I'm going to ruin this scene and it doesn't matter what happens because that's just what we do. Mm-hmm. That's what fucking Solars do. A Infernal's limit would be like, you have to be as completely maniacally, like, comic book evil as you can as your next goal. Because Infernal's limit is becoming as evil as possible. And going again, and like, but the thing is that it's super hard to get limit as an Abyssal or an Infernal, unless, of course, you're going against your Death, unless, of course, you're going against your Death Lord or your Yozi Overlord, which guess what she was doing a lot of?
Just by talking to her daughter.
Yep.
Oh, Storm laid it on thick. She did the whole thing where she's like, tell me, Mommy dearest, for 10 years you have been alive and haven't talked to me or any of my siblings. I had to raise 4 younger siblings, become an assassin to take care of them because Dad and you weren't around.
I really wanted her to be like, well, who do you think put those jobs in for look shy?
You could have.
That would have been like, oh, I was helping as best as I could, dear. You would have been like, oh shit, guys, we have to save my mom. She's been helping from the shadows the whole time. I think she might be lying to you. No, it's not that I have the worst resolve score in the world.
I didn't have it anymore. Every time you did something with one of my worst scores, I immediately, as soon as I could, I upped that.
I was still rolling like fucking fire in that game, though. Anytime I had to roll against you guys, it was like, is this a weird dice trick that you guys have something to fuck me up on? No. I'm good. Yep. Do you guys have weird dice tricks to fuck me up on? I'm fucked.
Yeah. Everybody meets up, and they notice a man in a smaller boat sailing around our boat. And it's just a folding boat.
Just a thing.
And he uses it to hide from the authorities.
Yes. This is the exigent who...
I know. I'm well aware. And he basically wants to come aboard and get off of the mountain. Talisman says that she needs to make a drill. Percy says that we need to contact Star. Try doing that. And he's busy running through the jungle with paperwork because that's his life. We find out that the exigent's name is Steely Dan. Because he's the exigent of thievery. Yep. And
JoJo reference. Also technically musical reference.
Jeez. He ends up coming to work for us, and Behemoth sanctifies the deal with him for working for us.
Now, technically he is not going to work for you guys, but that's more because of a thing that literally happens next session.
Yeah. So Storm ends up telling everybody about her conversation with her mom. And that's the end of day 2. So day 3. We go in at different times to meet and we start drilling. And we use the orichalcum, orichalcum like drill. And after a while there's like a lot of resistance to it, but it ends up stopping and we can get through to it. We see this energy in a walkway as well. So we end up following a path that eventually comes across the skeleton on the ground. There's really no trauma that caused the death, and it's, it's a grown-up, a male dude. There's just not much going on with it. They just seem like...
Dead?
They just seem like they died. Like, there was nothing that seemed to cause it.
Like, almost like starvation or something like that.
Yeah. Then we end up talking about, like, trying to talk to the ghost of him. And Storm's just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And she decides to stealth ahead and gets to a T section and because I usually carry chalk on me whenever I play tabletop games, but I realized I was like, Storm probably wouldn't have thought to grab chalk. So she does like a small cut on her blade and draws this little blood arrow pointing in the direction that she went for when her friends decide to catch up to her. And it's pointing to the left. And so it ends up opening into this large room with interlocking doors that are locked.
Mm-hmm. Not for long, they're not.
Yeah, right? Behemoth and Sergei, because everybody ends up going ahead eventually, see the blood arrow go to the left, and they just go barreling down the left path because for some reason they thought Storm was fucking hurt. Which I guess makes sense because it's blood.
Because there's blood, yeah.
But it's like, in my headspace, it was a very, like, concise blood drawn thing, not like a, oh, I'm gonna smear this because I'm dying thing.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's your blood, and you put that towards Behemoth, who is hyper protective of his solar circle, and your lunar mate, who is hyper protective of you.
But they go barreling down the left path, which is where the arrow goes. And everybody else ends up going down the right, which is where the essence has gone to. But Storm can't see that, so how's she supposed to fucking know? And I got bored and didn't feel like waiting around as Christina. So, everybody gets to their respective doors. Percy and Behemoth on their respective sides notice the control card thingy. On the right door, Talisman ends up hacking the system and sees something similar to the reality generator that we found in Volavat. And on the left door, Sergei and Behemoth pull the door up enough for Storm to get through as she's trying to pull like the card thing out. We find out this thing is similar to the Wild Engine, and it's pouring something powering something and gathering essence to it. The left door, it's basically the bridge of the ship, and eventually the guys are able to like lift the stuff up.
It's the bridge of a ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Bridge of a ship.
Yeah.
And so the boys are able to finally get in there, and Behemoth, who can read Old Realm, is able to read like the words on there, and it's the 1,000 Sated Blossoms, the ship of the unconquered sun.
Which the 1,000 Sated Blossoms is a reference to the primordial Metagos, which is a...
I actually have that written up top here, yeah.
Excellent.
A ship of the unconquered sun, the 1,000 Sated Blossoms, which is a slight against Metagos, the all-hunger blossom.
Yep.
Who is a Yozi.
Yep. Which is kind of where the name for Metagalopa comes from.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So there's this holographic screen, and it shows everything that's online and offline. And the other group heads over to the left side where the bridge is at. Talisman ends up crawling into the control panel and finding the schematics for the ship, which is basically an artifact that she could never recreate, surprisingly. Wayward ends up finding out that the whole ship is just basically, like we said, a slight against Metagos, and that this is a first-age solar tech, according to a Seiyu. Behemoth realizes that they have been mining the ship all along, like the people of Metagalopa, and then basically the group's just like, okay, what do we do with this thing, and basically all the knowledge that we just gathered from like splunking down here, like what do we do? Also, I have written down Directional Titan and Sword of Creation for some reason.
Yes, because the 1,000 Sated Blossoms, Mount Metagalopa, is a Directional Titan.
Yeah.
Which is on the same scale of weaponry as the Sword of Creation.
That's why they're both written down there. Yeah, Directional Titan one made sense. I just didn't know why I had Sword of Creation written down.
Yeah, it's on the same scale of... Let me put it this way. The material that is used in a Directional Titan is the kind of stuff where that it is literally, when it's crafted in the first age, it has never once touched the ground.
Gotcha.
Even in, like... Not even, like... No one ever mined that iron. They went out to the fucking wild and, like, wild-shaped the fucking iron and then levitated it there and then they fucking, like, craft-charmed it. It never touched the ground.
Oh. Well, that's the end of that session.
Okay. So, to finish this off, We are now on iTunes, which is super cool.
Ooh.
Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe to our stuff. If you guys could give us a rating on iTunes, and leave a review, that's going to help us immensely in getting to new ears. Just a little bit. Just, hey, we love this. This is a great episode. Tell us how you really feel. Download us off of Podbean, it actually does show up if people do it on iTunes as well.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
okay.
So they don't have to use Podbean. But, on iTunes, if you use that, leave us a review. It really, really does help. Because that's how that they measure our relevancy to other people who are searching for other podcasts.
Gotcha.
It actually has a metric system for that kind of stuff.
That makes
sense.
Is
super useful.
I just didn't know if it cross-system or not. So.
It'll help cross-system. The more people that see stuff, kind of cross-systems. I don't know.
Okay, crisscross.
It's not like I'm a computer major or anything.
Yeah, and I'm not studying shit like that at all.
Right. Anyway, so this has been episode 10 of Let the Good Dice Roll. We will see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.